Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you to EXP Realty for sponsoring today's episode. Talent Finders would like to welcome award-winning singer-songwriter, owner of Stage 9 Secrets, Alexa Ray. So welcome, Alexa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
So I wanted to obviously firstly congratulate you on all your achievements. So can you share with us how your entrepreneurial and singing and songwriting career started?
Well, it started, I've been singing all my life. So ever since I was 10, I've always kind of had this passion for music and performing. And I've always just wanted to really, you know, travel and perform. And part of, the whole stage and singing is, the attire and what we wear is, really part of the performance, which kind of started the company Stage 9 Secrets. And it actually happened probably about 3 years ago now. I had gotten nominated for a Hollywood Music and Media Award. And as I have a passion for fashion. And so I just really wanted to, make a statement and, oh my goodness, what am I going to wear, to this award ceremony? And so I had a real struggle trying to find something that I feel fit my brand and, made a statement and represented me as an artist in the way that I looked. And I realized that there was a real disconnect and a need in the market for, artists where they could go to get, either performance attire or stage wear that represented their branding needs. So that kind of started me on my whole journey of Stage 9 Secrets.
That's amazing. So as a songwriter and lyricist, it requires a huge amount of dedication and
Yes.
highly competitive. So can you share with us more about this and about your writing process? And typically, how long does it take you to write a song?
Well, the amount of time really varies actually depending on the project and, inspiration, it can hit in any moment. So sometimes, I'll be doing the dishes and all of a sudden I think of some lyrics and have to quickly jot them down. Or sometimes I hear a project and, it comes to me right away. And then sometimes it really takes me a while to form a story. I think a lot of my inspiration comes from things that have either happened to me or, emotions that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So, I really like to have a backstory to all of the songs that I write.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you really have a full story, the emotion is that much more compelling and authentic.
Yes.
So, yeah, the amount of time really varies, but I would say, yeah, it's hard to say. Maybe a week, 2 weeks. And then there's always the, okay, well, did I like that word? Now I'm listening back to it. Maybe I'll make a few tweaks here and there.
Yeah, so it's a very organic process.
It's a very organic process. And sometimes, when I'm writing for me, I take a lot more time. If it's for a project, a lot of the times I'll work with, trailer composers and they have a deadline. So yeah, I'd probably say anywhere from like a week to a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you believe makes your songwriting unique, and why do you believe it resonates with your audience or audiences?
Well, I think what makes me unique as a singer-songwriter is I like to call myself an epic vocalist,
Yes.
which is taking huge powerhouse vocals and combining them with electronic, orchestral, and film-inspired arrangements. So I think that in and of itself is pretty unique. I know that not a lot of artists are doing that. So it is, a niche of the classical genre, but it's quite emotional and intense music.
Yes.
And I think the stories that I, have, my experiences in life are what's going to set me apart from other writers. We might be experiencing similar things, but the way that each songwriter portrays their emotion is going to be slightly different. So
Yes.
Yeah, I think that, my journey, and I also like to put a little bit of fantasy into my lyrics.
Yes.
Um, so that kind of creates this whole epic realm, if you will, for storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes it more interesting too.
Hmm.
So, what would you say some of your biggest lessons and learnings have been within your career? So, you've maybe had multiple, but what really stands out for you?
Oh man. um, yeah, I mean, as an artist, I think you're always learning, just trying to be flexible and roll with the punches. I mean, since I've started music, there's been so many changes to the industry with, streaming. Like maybe
Mm.
I'm giving away my age, but CDs were like really important back,
Oh
when I
yeah, for
first
sure.
started
And it's like you had
out.
this whole
Yeah,
cowboy collection in your bedroom,
exactly.
your
So the
living
way
area.
that the way that you
Listen,
market.
I still have my CDs. I still have them. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't care what people say. The quality on a CD is still better than the streaming platforms.
Yes. So
But
yeah, so I mean for you, what has this been for you in terms of, the lessons that you've learned out of your career?
I think it would just be to keep on being you. Be authentic. There's so much talent out there. Keep in your own lane,
Yes.
and just keep on keeping on. you know
Yes.
I think it's so easy to get distracted, and just to be flexible as an artist and just absorb. Like, your biggest tool and way to achieve is to learn. And so I think, if I can give any encouragement to other artists, just keep learning. Is, I feel, what's, helping me as an artist continue, because there's, again, so many changes that have happened in this industry with, streaming, and that changes the whole business side of it. So
Yes.
you just really have to keep learning.
Absolutely. So, do you only write songs for yourself, or do you also write songs for other artists? And if so, can you give us any examples of what that process is like for you? Because I mean, it's obviously one thing writing a song for yourself, but when you're writing in your mind for another artist, what is that process, if you do write for other artists?
Um, I think the only song that I have written for another artist was Sound Rush, which is a group from the Netherlands. They actually do a genre called hardstyle, which is kind of like, I guess, like EDM trance, like that kind of
Yes,
like festival music.
yes,
And we collaborated on a song called Infinite Skies, which was part of their album Brothers. And I don't know if it was a different process than how I typically work with other artists, like other composers and trailer composers. But I guess if I do work with others, keeping in mind their, and the message of that individual when you write,
yes,
it changed like a little bit, because you want to put yourself in their shoes in terms of how you tell a story.
yes, absolutely. So you're also the founder and owner of Stage Nine Secrets. So can you share with us more about this and what was the motivation for starting Stage Nine Secrets?
Yeah, so I started Stage Nine Secrets about 3 years ago now. And like I said, it started from, it kind of stemmed from my own needs of finding, stage wear and attire, and special occasion needs and gowns. And I actually am operatically trained. So, I did years doing classical music and, being on the stage. And for every event, you have to have a nice gown. It's not just about singing, it's also about the way you look, the way you present yourself. And that's really part of the business, part of the brand. And selling yourself as an artist is the way, unfortunately, you look.
Yes,
It's all part of it. It's so important. You can't have one without the other. And I think, especially as artists who are maybe just starting out, or, struggling to get on their feet, that can be a huge upfront cost in getting your wardrobe together, because, gowns are not inexpensive.
No,
A lot of us
definitely
are,
not.
yeah, some people like, but it's unfortunately one of the areas where a lot of us as artists, I feel we try to cut corners. Oh, if we can find a deal, if we can, jump into that sales rack, or, go to like a thrift store of some sort and, reuse. And we spend so much time hunting for a gown or, for an occasion. And so I really wanted to create kind of like a support system for other artists where they can have a go-to shop for, quality gowns, but that, aren't going to eat into their, project budgets. So that's kind of what the stem and the roots of Stage Nine Secrets are. So the company is an online boutique. We sell evening wear to women. It's open to everyone, but it has a unique focus for creators, artists, actresses, anyone who needs professional attire. And we actually have reward tiers and exclusive offers if you are an artist. So if you, purchase over time, you get lifetime discounts for being a professional with the company. And so it's just kind of my way of helping to support the arts and to support others in their journey and help them with their branding needs.
Amazing. It's such a great concept. And I mean, I haven't heard of anybody really doing anything like that. So that's phenomenal. Well done.
Thank
So,
you.
so the music industry is a highly competitive industry and really changing rapidly with the impact of technology. So how has this impacted you, and what are some of the changes you have personally made to pivot or adapt? And how has this helped you change for the better? And what do you believe can still be done better using these tools?
Yeah,
I know it's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Well, I started again as a classical artist and studying opera. So, I really started quite, what's the word I'm looking for?
Pre-technology.
Yeah, exactly. It's not very like advanced, like when I was, recording and doing everything, it was about making like a CD.
Yes.
And from that, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, now there's streaming, and now there's, how do I connect with my audience? So there was the whole social media aspect, and how do I actually connect now, stepping out of university with my audience. And as I learned more about the technology aspect, it actually did force me to grow as an artist. And I actually realized that my passion wasn't in opera, but it was actually in film and trailer music.
Yeah.
So by kind of diving into this world of like technology, it opened my eyes to actually just more genres, more sounds, which kind of developed my artistry into something completely different than what I thought I was going to go into when I first started in music.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just been a huge learning curve. Yeah.
Amazing. I love it. And it's like you say, you adapt and you grow, and yeah.
And I think that's the most important part, as an artist, is just to continue to learn and to push yourself to learn. When I first started, again, everything was about performing and, finding a concert to perform in. And now with what I'm doing in the trailer, it's actually more like behind the scenes. So you're working more like in a studio. So you're not actually on the stage as much. It's you and the microphone and being a little bit more intimate. So, there is a big shift from that as well, because I was so used to the instant gratification of applause, when you finish a performance.
Yes.
And with the recording, it's such a longer process. So, you're not actually sure how people are going to react until it's already out in the world for everyone to, see and judge. And
yeah, absolutely.
There is definitely a big shift, like a mental shift of, okay, are people going to like this? I've shared my most, my deepest thoughts and emotions with people in this recording, but it's not until, like a few months later when it gets released then I see if people like it, if I've gone in the right direction, or if I've, gone a little too far over the edge. So there's a lot, equally gratifying, but yeah, just a completely different shift. But I think through the pandemic, it's also been very important, a big eye opener, that to be a successful musician, you have to have multiple streams in order to be successful. So yes, there's performance, but there's also the recording side of things. And if you can't perform, then you can kind of shift into doing the songwriting. And so there's kind of that balance. You can't put your eggs all in one basket. So I think that was a really big eye opener and confirmation when the pandemic hit, that I had been going in the right direction, because even though performances had stopped, I could keep going and continuing with my recording because I had what I needed at my home studio.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads me to the next question. Obviously, COVID-19 has turned our worlds inside out and upside down. So what and how has this impacted you? And what are some of the changes you have had to make to adapt in these challenging times? And can you give us any examples?
Yeah, well, thankfully, I had already been making the shift from, doing the performance to more recording. And so everything that I had been doing on the projects could be done from home. It did force me to make my own home studio. So there was a lot of learning. Now you're not just a singer, you're not just a lyricist, but you're your own vocal engineer. You're doing tech support for yourself. And then you're learning the whole Zoom and how to set up your lighting and, be your own tech person. So there was definitely a lot more.
It's a lot more hands-on, I guess.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So things to add to your resume.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a lot. It was a little bit overwhelming at first, but at the end of the day, again, the more that you can learn, I think the more it empowers you to keep being able to move forward and just be a well-rounded musician. And the more that you can do for yourself instead of hiring out other people, especially when you're first starting out, is so crucial as a business, for an artist.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say some of your biggest career highlights have been? So you've maybe had multiple, but what really stands out for you?
Well, when I was young, I actually had the honor of singing for Her Majesty, the Queen, when she came to visit on tour. I was part of a choir that greeted her when she was doing a tour here in Canada. So that was pretty exciting for me early on. And I guess kind of put this little fire, inside me that, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Just the things that you can do and where music can take you. So I think that was one thing that kind of lit my fire to want to perform and want to, do more with my music, is just to see where it could get me. And I guess maybe 5 years ago, I was actually on tour with G4 on their Back for Good tour. So I was a guest soprano with them and toured across the UK. So that was also fairly exciting for me. And then more recently, I've been a guest artist on a couple of albums. And then one in particular with Aurora Music, which is a branch of Universal Music, which was pretty exciting for me. So yeah, I've been blessed to do so many cool projects. And like I said, I'm just really excited to see where it continues to take me.
Yeah, absolutely. So many people only see the glitz and glamour of entertainment, or, when you talk about audience or just the public in general. But they obviously don't see the hard work and the decade of work that goes into it. You've also traveled all over the world and won many awards. So can you share with us, I know you briefly touched on it before, but can you share with us how this came about, and did winning these awards open other career opportunities for you?
I think there's a huge misperception in the industry that if you can just get to A, everything will just start happening for you. Yeah. If I can just get B, then this will happen. And I'm not sure where it stems from. Maybe it's the Hollywood perception of, an overnight success, but that doesn't exist.
No.
I hate to burst those bubbles, but it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
And so just because you get to one achievement, it's great because, maybe it will allow people to hear you and then more opportunities come. But it's not like all of a sudden it's like a whirlwind and it just starts happening for you.
No.
So, even when you get to A, you have to keep working at it. There's nowhere that you can kind of start coasting, if that makes sense. Obviously you don't want to burn out, so you have to pace yourself. But there's this image of an iceberg and people see the tip of the iceberg and all of the success, but the iceberg is like, it's not the whole thing. It's only like 10%, I think, of what.
And the rest is all sitting below.
Is all below. And what's below the water is all of the times the doors were shut in your face, all of the times that there's a huge mental health in the music industry that is only starting to come to light. All the hardships of being told no, when you're putting your emotions on the line, and when things don't work out the way you think, there's huge lows for a lot of musicians. And I think that's really important to note, that even the most successful musicians, they still have these very low points in their life. I can't tell you how many times I thought that, oh my gosh, this isn't working out. I need to quit. Like, there's so much money that I'm pouring into these projects. And, especially with the way that, streaming has now come, is this even worth it? But, you step away, you just have to refocus. I think it's really important to keep yourself grounded and make sure that you are taking care of you first. I think is so important in this industry, is to have a really healthy mental view, because it's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else is doing and comparing yourself.
I think that's the biggest challenge people have, even on a global scale, irrespective of industry. Yeah. And I think it's very bad for people's mental mindset and mental health.
Well, especially now with social media, it's so easy to post, and people are only posting the good,
the lovely, fluffy, furry stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so easy to get caught up in thinking that everyone else's life is, perfect, and oh my gosh, they didn't have the struggles. But it couldn't be further from the truth. Whether we post about it or not, I think everyone is in the same boat, that everyone has their successes, but everyone also has their struggles. But just because you get to those successful points, again, it doesn't mean that it's just going to continue to happen. You have to keep working at it. So just keep on plugging on.
Absolutely. So you were recently nominated in Hollywood Music and Media Awards for Best Contemporary Artist, and again in 2019 won for Best Lyricist. So can you share with us more about this?
Yes, this was a huge honor. I've been to the Hollywood Music and Media Awards, I think 3 times now. It's an amazing awards event, and it's really meant for industry composers, for film and trailer, but they do have a music genre. So I was nominated, I believe it was in 2018, for Best Contemporary Artist. And then, as you mentioned, I actually won for Best Lyricist 2 years ago now. And those were the lyrics I wrote for Randall Germain's album, Breath of Gods. And the title of the track was Eternal Flame. And it was a really epic song that was just about kind of what I was just talking about, just keep pressing on. It's an uplifting, like, emotional inner battle, but you just got to keep on pressing on no matter what comes your way. And I think a lot of my lyrics come from like my own journey and my own struggles, and a lot of them are kind of notes to myself. Sometimes when I'm feeling down, they're kind of meant to be uplifting and motivational, because as I'm reminding myself that things are going to get better, and as you work harder, it's only going to continue to grow your career. They're also meant to inspire others, but I think they're mostly notes for myself, as I'm navigating this journey of mine.
Yes, absolutely. So you also have a passion for giving back to the arts, which is critically important. Can you share with us more about this? And I know you did touch on certain things earlier, but can you sort of elaborate on that?
Yeah, so that's kind of through Stage 9 Secrets that I'm trying to find ways to, support the arts, the music community, the arts community, and just thinking of ways that will help everyone else in their journey, especially in Canada. I don't know about, other areas, but I just feel like there's not a lot of support for the arts.
Yeah.
So, through this platform, I'm really trying to find a way that can make a difference in the artist's journey through rewards tiers, offering lifetime discounts to artists. And then we've also started a section of the site which is a directory, so like a resource for artists, and it's just everything from like A to Z in the industry. So, where people can find out about, okay, I'm looking for like an engineer that will work online with me. If I want to create a song, who can I go to? And these are recommended directories of individuals, like, and services. It could also be, oh, I'm not sure about how I can put my music online. I have no idea where to start. There's an article, there's a few pages you can go research, how you can do it. So it's kind of like...
So it's education based as well.
It's education. So yeah, it's kind of everything that I've collected as an artist. That was kind of my roadmap that's empowered me to move forward in my career. For those artists who are really looking to empower themselves through learning, there's the different awards that you can apply for if you're wanting to get established in your career. So yeah, these were just all of the sites and connections that I felt could be useful for other artists to really empower themselves in their journey.
Yeah, incredible. So this leads me to the final question. What are the 3 key pieces of advice you would give to others looking to pursue a career in the music and entertainment industry? And what legacy would you like to leave, or how would you like to be remembered?
Oh, man.
I know that's always a tricky one for people. It's easier when other people say it, but when you have to think about it yourself, it's a challenge. I understand.
What's my legacy? I think I just want to inspire people.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I was really young and listening to others. I mean, I grew up listening to opera. So for me, it was Kathleen Battle and Cecilia Bartoli and, all of those opera greats. And I just remember listening.
Maria Callas.
Yeah, Maria Callas. And I just remember listening to their music, and it was almost like you could be having the worst day possible, but as soon as you put on, the tracks, it's like you get lost in this world.
Yeah.
And so I just hope that, my music can inspire, uplift, and take people, away into these fantasy realms, and that they're left with this inspiring, uplifting emotion that takes them away from all of the
the worldly challenges.
Exactly. Yeah. I wasn't going to put it so eloquently. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a messed up, crazy world right now.
Yeah.
So what would be the 3 key pieces of advice you would give to others looking to pursue a career in the music and entertainment industry?
I think one is definitely just keep learning, be adaptable. Number 2, there's so much that doesn't go according to plan. You are not in control.
No.
You can try to, aim as much as possible, but at the end of the day, there is a percentage of luck. So just keep going. And I think number 3 is stay in your lane. There's this imagery, I forget the exact quote, but it's a flower that blooms, doesn't look at the other flowers, it just blooms.
Yes.
And so when you are just focused on yourself, when you are just doing your own thing, you're going to bloom, you're going to shine, because nobody else has what you uniquely have. So you don't have to worry about, oh, well, they have this, they have that. What do I have? You have you, and that is enough.
Yes.
And you just have to develop that to the best of your ability, and you will shine. You just need to keep going with it.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Alexa, for your time. And if people would like to connect with you, what are the best platforms to do so?
Well, there's my website, which is alexarayofficial.com. I'm mostly active on Instagram, which is Alexa Ray Music. And if they're interested in either becoming an artist with Stage 9 Secrets, they can email me, which is contact@stage9secrets.com, or visit the website stage9secrets.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you again. And hopefully we can have you back in the future to see where you are in your journey.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun talking with you. Thank you so much for having me.